Welcome, everyone, to the Real Trekkies cast, episode 13. I am your host, Matrix Lord 2 and 2, and I'm with Steampunk StarRaisin.
Here in Glendale, California, of AmberStreet.com.
All right, so I broke the news earlier today that Star Trek Discovery is delayed till so far May. That's not a definite thing, though. It's supposedly they needed more time to flesh out the episodes to better quality. They are moving up the Good Wife spinoff, which is bad news, in the Star Trek time slot for February. What do you think is going on, Steampunk?
I don't think it fares well for Star Trek. I think that I know that they got a lot of negative PR with the teaser trailer. A lot of people were criticizing the design of the ship, and they said the CGI looked really bad. I didn't think it looked that bad. The only part that I had criticism of was the blue deflector dish looked kind of fake. But it doesn't fare well. The Good Wife, I'm not sure. I guess it's like a soapy kind of thing.
It's popular, but still, I'm not really happy at all. And let me tell you something. When they first said there was going to be a Star Trek series, I was excited, right?
Yeah.
Then when they said they're doing a prequel and they're going backwards to before Kirk, I wasn't interested immediately because...
Well, I had no problem with that. I mean, because I'm hoping that they'll resolve the temporal Cold War.
Yeah, but they're not doing that, though. And another thing is that it's going to be
Not
connected to the pilot of the original Star Trek.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, I think it takes place 10 years before the time of Kirk. And one of the things they said in the press release is that it would bridge the gap. This is what was critical for me that got my eyes to light up. They would bridge the gap between Star Trek Enterprise and the original series. Oh. And so what do they mean by that, bridge the gap? That can only mean to me that perhaps they're going to resolve who Future Guy is and resolve the temporal Cold War, which they never resolved that story arc in Enterprise.
Right.
And so that would be kind of nice to see that. That gave me some pause for optimism, and that they at least spent some time making some good quality CGI. Most of the CGI, with the exception of the deflector dish, looked really good. That's not a good sign that they've delayed it till May. It sounds like the beginning of development hell. I mean, Star Trek Phase 2 had similar delays, like Star Trek Phase 2, which is a 1970s canceled TV show, was originally supposed to come out in 1971, and then they delayed it to 1974, and then it got delayed again till like 1977. And in 1977, they indefinitely canceled it because they were like, oh, Star Wars did really well. Let's not do a TV show. Let's turn this into a movie. And so they cannibalized some of the characters, like Commander Decker and Leah. I can't remember the bald-haired alien. They cannibalized some of the characters from Phase 2 and put them in the motion picture. And the set and some of the uniform. Well, actually, not the uniform designs, but the set of the bridge of the Enterprise. The whole production set was cannibalized. So some of the production qualities were cannibalized, and some of the written characters and some of the writing was cannibalized into Star Trek: The Motion Picture, the movie, because they wanted a competitor to Star Wars. And they did that not for production quality's sake. They did that for a business reason because they saw money in their eyes. They're like, Star Wars did well. What can we do to compete with Star Wars? And Star Trek was never really, in my opinion, meant to compete with Star Wars. Star Wars does best as a movie franchise, does less well as a TV franchise. Star Trek is the opposite. It does best as a TV franchise, does less well as a movie franchise. And so I'm worried that this could be the start of production hell, like Star Trek Phase 2, where they had a set built, they had uniforms already created, they had costume design already done, they had conceptual art. They've even done some filming, which they never got through with. They did some test screenings of people in costume, which is really like a tantalizing tease. And we're like, wow, that would have probably been a great show.
Well, let me ask you a question. Could this the real reason actually be that they're going ahead with a Star Trek 4 and J.J. Abrams is like, maybe like they really don't want that on TV because they don't want people to interfere, like thinking like they interfere with each other or something? And just think about it.
Well,
if they delay it 6 months, right?
Yeah.
And then they delay it another year, then they're not going to put it out if it's going to conflict with Star Trek 4, I don't think. So I think delaying this for another 2 years.
It is very unfortunate that Abrams is doing Star Trek 4. I don't know why that they allowed him to do Star Trek 4 when Star Trek 3 obviously lost money.
But it didn't yet because it's being released still in the foreign markets up until Thanksgiving. It hasn't been everywhere. It's over 319 million right now. Worldwide.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still less money than what Into Darkness made, and the fact that they spent 185 million making it, and if you saw the amount of advertisement they spent in LA, like every Metro bus had a Star Trek Beyond poster, and there was posters everywhere. They had to spend at least a couple $100 million on advertisement, and so to me, I would consider that a very lackluster response for how much money they spent on Star Trek Beyond. I wouldn't exactly consider it a success. I mean, you got to look
right now it's at 319 with a $185 million budget. Not even how much they spent in.
Well, if you look at what because I know we had debated about this before. We talked about the Chinese market. You look at China. I think it got released a month ago in China, and it's only done.
It actually got released last week. 35 million, I think.
Yeah, that's not that very good. China is a bigger movie market than the United States.
Right, but let me just get the numbers, the release date schedule, because that's going to be the key in if it's going to be a success.
I mean, I know that like with Daniel, you talked about Israel, but like Israel's only got 8 million population. Most of these countries that it hasn't been released in are very low population countries that even if it does well, it's only going to make a few million. That's all I'm arguing is that it's already had most of its run, and the fact that China is a bigger movie market than the United States and it's only done like 35 million, that's not a very good start.
Okay, so here we go. Okay. Here it is. It's going to be released. Hold on a second. It changed. The only place it has to be released left is Japan on the 21st of October. It was released in China on the 2nd, Argentina on the 8th, Mexico on the 9th, and then 21st of October it will be in Japan, and then it will be done. All right.
I don't know. I would argue that at best it's breaking even. That's my opinion. But I'm just based on from what I understand, they did very big viral marketing campaign with Star Trek Beyond on the internet as well as all over the United States.
Japan, it made Into Darkness made over $10 million, so maybe that will bring in another 10. But you're right, it's not. It may not be. I mean, it brought 57 million in for Into Darkness. So if it's only at let's look at the Beyond and see what's going on here. Hold on.
Well, and also Abrams publicly stated when he did the 2009 Star Trek, he stated that he didn't want a TV series because Bryan Singer had been pushing.
China's at 53 million already. All right.
The biggest problem with the TV series, I think, is Abrams, because Abrams views a Star Trek television series as a rival threat to his movie. And, Abrams, even though he didn't direct the third one, he was still the executive producer, still calling the shots.
Right.
Abrams, when he made 2009 Star Trek, he said in an interview, I blocked, I blocked any plans to do a television series because they were wanting to do a television series back in 2009. And Bryan Singer, who was already famous for doing X-Men, put a very big pitch to push his own version of Star Trek.
I remember that.
And Abrams blocked him. Abrams blocked him because he didn't want a TV show.
This could be the real reason, though. They could be blocking it because they don't want it to interfere with the new movie. That
And I think that's unfortunate because I was excited to see.
It could be. We're not saying it is because I don't want to have any.
Well, who knows? But I don't think
hypothetically speaking,
it's not a good sign that they're delaying it till May, and then they could delay it even more.
Yeah, it's not definite, May. That's the sad part. So I'm thinking they're going to want to delay it to the following year, and then we're going to see it delayed another year. I mean, once you get out of the May thing, it may get delayed a whole nother. I'm telling you, it's possible.
Well, it may go into development hell like Star Trek Phase 2.
I hope not. All right, so you want it to be on TV. You don't want it to be in the movies no more.
Well, I hate Abrams, and I hate him as a director.
But what about if somebody else does it? You just want.
I hate the whole I hate the whole Abrams universe. What's some people call the new Trek universe. I hate the new Trek.
What is it, Kempler universe or something? Something like that.
It's BS to me, but I hate the whole universe. I can't stand that whole universe. I don't like the way the Klingons are. I don't like the way the Romulans are. I don't like the fact that Vulcan got destroyed because it kind of takes away what makes Star Trek. You have no Vulcan and hardly Vulcans, and I don't like Spock. Spock acts like a baby throwing a tantrum.
Oh my god!
I mean, I did a video on YouTube. It's top 10 reasons why Star Trek Beyond sucked.
Yeah,
I laid out all those reasons.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, you know what I should do? I should put the link to that video in the description so they can watch it if they watch it.
I would appreciate that. I would appreciate that.
All right, we'll do that. All right, thank you guys very much. Thank you, Steampunk StarRaisin.
Thank you.
Bye for now.